You ever like met some? Have you known people that smoke like swishers, just the cigars by themselves?
No, but
They're terrifying people. Like who does that?
as soon as you said that, I like popped this right over on the podcast. So no, I don't know anything.
That's so much funny.
Hello everybody. Welcome back to Dear Video Games, our open letter to our favorite hobby. My name is Curtis, and I write about video games. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host Walter Slapadelic. It looked like
How's it going?
What's up, man? It kind of looked like you froze there. I was like, oh no, not during the intro.
I'm just really stoic, you know.
Oh man, dude, there's so much to talk about. So much to talk about this week. We're gonna get all through it. I don't care. We're gonna get all through
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
even if
We're
it
gonna
goes
talk
an
about
hour and 30
every
minutes.
single video game that's ever been released.
Yeah, starting all the way
In
to
1972.
1970s.
Yeah. See the Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah. So Pong was a game with two
Yeah.
sticks, and the balls just doom, doom. Yeah, we're gonna start
Based
there.
on table tennis.
We'll definitely start there. Let's start off with one of our more. It depends. Sometimes some weeks it's boring. Some weeks is a little bit more exciting. What have we been playing? What have we been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Cult of the Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
I did try out Tunic. I was being very
We'll talk
hyperbolic on
about.
Facebook today, but
Yeah.
I wasn't super into it. But yeah.
Which we'll definitely talk about here in a second. But you played Cult of the Lamb. How are
Mhm.
we liking that? Because I've
I,
yet to play that one.
I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I think it's really good. It's really funny. It
Mm-hmm.
has a good balance of being like hella dark, but not in a way that's like depressing, you know? I feel
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of indie games can just be sad, you know? Like a
Yeah.
lot of times like you'll
Yeah.
play an indie game and it's like it's a 16-bit Metroidvania that'll make you cry and think about your
Mm-hmm.
grandfather and it's like I don't I don't want to play that. That sounds sad. But it's like it's funny cuz you're this adorable little cartoon lamb, you know? And in like the first part of the game, you're like it says you're the last of your species and you're being like sacrificed to the old gods by heretics. And then the new god is like, I'll let you come back to life, but you have to start a cult in my name and kill all the heretics. And
Oh my goodness.
it's like okay. I mean, I figured this game would be part somewhat of that because just
Kind of went out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I
Yeah.
and this game is still in my back catalog. It's something I cannot wait to play
Mhm.
because, like you said, it's it's a cute game. You play this
It's
demonic lamb,
yeah.
and
The
it
music is
looks like
great.
a lot of fun.
The art style is really cutesy and
Hmm.
like it's just really well done. Like it's like it's cute, but in like a very like ironic, like self-aware kind of way, you
Hmm.
know. And it's just like he'll be all like dancing around and happy and stuff, but then whenever you level up, like his eyes start bleeding and like horror music starts playing. It's like
Has a
it's
good balance,
hilarious.
like you said. It's
It's
that really
hella
good
funny
balance.
and like you can rename the animals once they join your cult. You can
Yeah.
just assign them new names. So I have people named like Seven Pock and shit like that.
That's so cool. I actually didn't know you could do all that.
Yeah, I was not expecting them to be like, oh yeah, you can just name them now. They're
You can
just like,
name them anything you want. So you really have a
yeah,
lot of like customability when it comes
yeah.
to like
There's
your
like a
cult.
almost there's like an almost like The Sims or like even like a what's the like a
It's
Stardew
it's like
Valley like where it's
yeah.
like you're picking different areas in the
Hmm.
place where your cult is to like put up buildings or like farms or like sleeping bags for everybody or like re-educate
Is
and
it
murder
like chore
the
management?
non-believers.
Is it like chore
A little
management kind
bit,
of thing?
but the more people that you get to be in your cult, the
Hmm.
more you can just get them to do the chores for you. You know,
Yeah, right,
because
right.
you're their divine leader or whatever. You know.
Exactly. They got to do it
Yeah.
anyway. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And there's a game we're probably going to talk about a little bit later in the show. That you've been playing. You've been playing the new Pokemon game, right?
I have. Yeah. And honestly, I like it a lot. I really really love it. I think I've seen several reviews from different people on Twitter, from different
Well,
YouTubers like Jim Sterling and stuff. Like,
we'll go into
oh,
that
okay, yeah, I don't want to
exactly
jump ahead
that.
too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll definitely go into that. I've been playing.
Okay.
So before we get into what I've been playing, what's going on with the tunic, Kate? Man, what's going on with?
So okay, my whole thing with games in general is that I have really I don't have a lot of patience for feeling frustrated, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so if a game feels too like obtuse for me, I'll get frustrated and then I just don't want to play it anymore. And Tunic is one of those games that doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
Like it
Right.
tells you there's even like signs and like little pamphlets that are like supposed to be like the game manual that you can find, but they're all written in like the
This
gibberish runes,
weird
and
language,
it's
yeah.
like it's just trolling you at some point. And I understand that is the appeal to a lot of people, but for me, it kind of builds up and just gets annoying. So I was
Mm.
just like, I'm just not gonna have the patience to finish this game. it's
Everybody when they play games is different. You know, dear video games, we're not here to judge, okay? We're not here to
it's like
judge.
and I obviously I post on Facebook that I like hate it a lot and everything, and
Mm.
it's like because I'm mostly was being hyperbolic for comedic effect, but yeah, it's definitely I would rather just play a Zelda game. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I feel like a lot of times people that don't have Nintendo consoles, they're like, "Oh, I don't play Nintendo games. They're just stupid little games for babies." And then a
Mm.
game comes out on the console they have that just is like somebody trying to copy a Nintendo game, and they're like, "This
Yeah.
is the best game I've ever played."
It's like, hey man, I mean, you could have played that. You could have played Legend of Zelda and got that same
Yeah,
experience.
it's like there's like a whole console full of games like this you can play.
Right. Right. I agree with you to an extent that yes, that is true. There's it does what kind of Breath of the Wild kind of does and Elden Ring does, is like it doesn't tell you much about the world. You have to go out there and kind of figure out the language. You got to figure out exactly what you have
Yeah.
to do. And there's not many dialogue in the game, and there's not any voice acting, or nobody is
Right.
telling you anything. You have to
Yeah.
kind of watch the cut scenes as they happen.
Mhm.
Um,
And I will say, to be fair, like I tend to not be as good at figuring stuff like that in 2D games.
mhm.
I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe I just get my directions confused or something. But like in a game like Breath of the Wild, I've been playing Demon Souls, the PS5 remake.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just the minute by minute gameplay, but just where to go next is like
Mhm.
a little bit easier for me to like decide on or figure out than in like a 2D game like Tunic or even like a Link to the Past. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm just like I don't know
It's
where
too
the hell to
much
go.
to yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Well,
don't know
and that's
exactly what
one of
it
the
is.
things that I really like about God of War is like, you know, sometimes the puzzles in these games are so difficult, but in God of War it's like, okay,
Mhm.
this makes sense. This isn't
Yeah.
super hard. Maybe it took me maybe 2 minutes to
They're
kind of figure it
intuitive,
out.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like if you're someone like me who has, not always the fastest reaction time, there's an option in the settings to make the puzzles timer longer.
Yeah.
And so that was really helpful too
Okay.
because it's like, I want to be able to figure the puzzle out without having like 10 seconds to be like, my thumbs don't move this fast.
Well, Tunic is a beautiful game. I know you
It,
saw
it
that when
is
you played.
the
It's very
graphics and
beautiful.
music are great.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just the gameplay. What did you think of the combat then?
It's I don't know how I feel about the combat to be honest. It definitely takes a lot of inspiration from Dark Souls, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that sort of combat exactly works in 2D for me. Like it's more um I don't know if I even necessarily want to say clunky because there's combat that's like clunky that is like really terrible and it's not necessarily that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like yeah, for some reason it's just kind of it's one of those games where when I died, I got like hella pissed off, and I can't exactly place why. Where it's like, if I'm playing like a Demon Souls or something, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably just gonna die a whole bunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I
Yeah.
figure
Yeah.
out specifically what to do.
Mhm.
But for some reason in tuning, I was just like, no, no.
Mhm. What I really like about Tunic is, well, just for me, because it's gonna vary from gamer to gamer.
Yeah, obviously.
The challenge of it just really got me caught up into it. And that's what happens with a lot of games. I always say I don't really want too much of a challenge, but then when a game actually brings a challenge, it makes it more interesting to me. Which made me kind of want to explore the world, figure out what's going on, and kind of go to different areas and kill a bunch of monsters.
I
And then,
do like the design of the monsters and stuff. Like
yeah.
just when the camera would pan over the area and
Mhm.
everything, I really did get a lot of like Link's Awakening vibes, which I
I think
appreciate.
that's the best way to put it. It's very Link's Awakening, especially different
Especially
areas.
the art style, like the Switch remake of Link's Awakening, which
Yeah.
I actually do think is a really good game. I sort of run into a similar problem where I kind of get lost at times because I don't
Hmm.
exactly remember what I did in the original Game Boy version. But something about Zelda is one of those games where it's similar to like a game like Dark Souls or like Smash or something where it does that style so well that
Exactly. Yeah.
there's the whole like mini genre that sprung from it
Hmm.
never quite captures it for me. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
and you know what? Exactly what you're saying. I think Tunic actually takes about three, maybe two or three different genres and pushes them into.
Mhm.
But that's what indie games does. Like we were just talking about
It's what
Cult of
the
the Lamb.
beauty of them. Yeah, and Cult of the Lamb does that too. It's got this like simulation, like survival sort of like ish to it. It's
Yeah.
got like I don't. I'm not sure if anything's randomly generated in Cult of the Lamb or not, but it sort of feels like a roguelike in the combat at times,
Hmm.
and just like
Probably is. Yeah.
yeah, it probably is. And like and you know, the RPG elements I think are really cleverly implemented. And I just yeah, that's what I do like about indie
Hmm.
games. You know, I feel like they can sometimes follow trends just like the AAA games do, where it's like but just different trends where it's just like
Hmm.
we're gonna be an 8-bit, you know, hard as nails Metroidvania. And it's like, oh cool, I've never played one of those before. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
You know
right,
what
right,
I
right.
mean?
I
But
think the
so
level design is very versatile and
yeah, and I do
in that
appreciate
game
when games
in
can really
Tunic.
branch off from that. Like
Hmm.
in I do think that the art style and the design of Tunic is really original and like we said, Cult of the Lamb. I just think it's just all around really
Hmm.
well put together. I played a game called Road 96 earlier this year, where you're like a kid escaping like a tyrannical government on foot, and you kind of go up these different routes, and it's like you randomly
Oh, we lost him again. He's just going in and out.
and then, oh yeah, you've been doing that too. I don't know what it is. I think the government is
Me
trying to
too.
silence us.
Oh,
But
okay, okay.
like, but it's just really cool, and it's got all these mix of like puzzle solving and like point and click type of stuff,
Hmm.
and just like really well, like really good acting and everything. And it's something that I think only an indie studio would do because
Yeah.
if a bigger studio, you know, like a Nintendo or an EA or whatever,
Hmm.
would want to play it more safe. I feel, you know,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah, totally.
you know,
100% agree.
yeah.
Wow, wow, Twitter. That's how you disagree and have a conversation about video games right there. That is how you do that, okay? Uh
Getting into bitter beefs on Twitter has taught me how to be more civil in the rest of my life.
right. And I mean look, this is Dear Video Games. I didn't want it to be like this newscasty kind of thing. I wanted to talk about video games as themselves. We do have some news in here that we're definitely going to hit and have some opinions about, but it's always about at least you played Tunic. I don't think you think that this game is like the worst game you've ever played. Like
No, yeah.
it's for somebody,
Yeah, I
just not
definitely
you.
see the appeal. I definitely see
Yeah.
the appeal. Like I said, I was frustrated and being hyperbolic to make myself laugh at the situation on Facebook, but yeah, it is something that it just kind of hits on a few of my pet peeves, I guess is the
Yeah,
best way to put it.
I
But
can
it
hear that.
is
I can hear that.
I don't think I can in good faith say it's like a bad game or anything like that.
So while I've been playing God of War and enjoying it a lot,
That game still game of the year for me.
yeah, well, we're definitely gonna get to that here in a second. Just enjoying it a lot. I've been playing the new Need for Speed, Need for Speed Unbound. I got my actual code for it today, but I was
You're
playing
doing
in
a
10
review?
hours. I'm not doing the review. I'm doing the video for it, but somebody's writing the review, which
Oh,
is
interesting.
less
Cool.
work for me. Yay!
Yeah, nice.
Yay! No, no,
You
I'm
get to
good.
swoop in and do the glamorous part.
Right. I get to just say what you wrote and I'm done.
Yeah.
I like it, man, Walter. I really,
You're good at it.
yeah, I really like this Need for Speed game. I think it really touches on Underground and Underground 2.
It looks so interesting.
Yeah.
I was kind of teased today because it popped up on Game Pass. It
Hmm.
popped up on the Game Pass menu on my Xbox, but it's not actually on Game Pass. You can just get a free like a free like 3 hour trial of it or
Yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah.
which I'll probably still try out just because I want to
Hmm.
see the game.
Hmm.
But I was like, ah,
Yeah.
oh come on Xbox.
It definitely
It's like-
has. It's not like Forza. It's not like you. I feel like Forza is more simulation. Like you have to really focus on turns and how you're
Yeah.
driving. Where this game is more arcadey. It's like, oh, you can hit that turn and hit the NOS immediately and come right
like
out of it, and you're freaking flying. And I'm like, I don't know. And then you have all like the new graffiti patterns coming out the car, and it's like so much going on the screen. I really enjoy it. Like I cannot believe I'm sitting here saying in 2022, this I enjoy a Need for Speed game. This is pretty fun. This is really cool.
You mean you didn't have to dig your PS2 out of your closet?
No, to enjoy to enjoy a Need for Speed game. Like
It looks really good. I've been
yeah.
tempted to just straight up buy it because it looks fun. I really enjoy the I think the mixture of art styles looks really
I
nice.
like it. Yeah.
The sort of like not exactly photorealistic, but like shiny, like next gen-ish, like car models and backgrounds and stuff with the like cell shaded characters and graffiti and everything. I think that's really cool looking.
I think the character models look, yeah, like you're saying, looks great. It looks like almost comic bookish with like more colors, almost anime style too.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of like clothing options. They have like Puma on there, Versace, and it all looks good on your character. And it's so weird, like realism, and then that coming together. It's like it's kind of
only was that easy to get Versace clothes in real life.
Yeah. Oh man, I looked at like the price of it, and I was like, 1,300. Yeah, it's probably actually very realistic. Very realistic. Like wow. Okay. Really, I'm really enjoying it right now. Of course, like the story and the voice acting. I'm not really hanging it up too hard on this game for it. It's kind of cheesy at times.
It's kind of be expected with driving games. I feel.
Yeah. ASAP Rocky's in it.
I saw that on the Microsoft page, and you had said that before when I saw him, and I was like, "Oh, that's right, yeah." Kurt said that, but I mean, he's actually a pretty decent actor. So I mean, he's like the antagonist, or is he just like your like helper guy?
I think he's just a driver on there. Actually, I actually haven't ran into him just yet. I just know he's on there. I'm like still waiting for him.
The character in a car game is either like your coach.
No, he's
like,
just
the antagonist.
I think he's just another racer. I don't think he's an antagonist at all. No, I don't think he's any of that. But no, look, it's out right now. If you guys want to try, I really think this game is a dissertation in a lot of ways to like underground and street racing. They're bringing it back to street racing.
Nice.
I really got that feel when like you finished a race where like cops were really pursuing the drivers, and then like after it there was like the pursuit continues. Here goes a 3-second countdown, and now you have to run away from the cops. So I'm like,
oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
that's actually a really cool idea, because like it makes sense because it wouldn't just be like the cops like, oh well, you got first place.
Well,
I don't know what to tell you.
Well, let's go get donuts. This guy just won the race.
Yeah, he hit that booster hella good.
he was gone.
Yeah,
dang,
scare some teenagers.
Yeah, like $4,000 he won. We're done following him. He's done.
That's like way over my bribe. So
yeah, let's get the guy in second place though.
Yeah,
it's a really good game. It came out about 4 days ago. Stay tuned for Sports Gamers Online, because on our YouTube channel and on our website, because we'll have a review up for you guys.
Oh, yeah, it is a sport, huh?
Yeah, racing / sport. Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. So have you played the Cruising game on Switch?
Cruising on Switch?
Game's back, and they made a new one for Switch.
Is it like Cruising Blast?
Yeah.
Oh no, I've played arcade
very over the
version.
top arcadey.
Yeah.
Like you're doing the flips and you're like busting people up and stuff.
I played it on arcade. I've never played it on Switch.
It's a good
good time.
Yeah, I'm just picturing it being like probably not to that level of arcade.
Yeah, totally
but closer
not.
to that.
Yeah, totally not. There's a little bit of that realism in there, but it's not. I think there is parts, if you are like a racing enthusiast, there are parts you're going to appreciate, but for people that just really want that nostalgic feel for Need for Speed Underground, this is probably the closest it's going to get. And I think especially for players like me that have missed out on a lot of Need for Speed games and want that experience back, this is probably a good game for that.
Yeah, because I think the last one I played was I think Hot Pursuit was the last one I played.
Wasn't like a remake?
No, I think it was like just back in the day. Hot Pursuit, maybe Hot Pursuit 2. Yeah. It was like on the 360, I think, or the PS2, PS3.
Probably on the
like
PS2. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Maybe even
yeah,
PS1.
it was a long time ago. I don't exactly remember which one. I remember thinking it was cool, but it was a console that I did not have at the time, and so that's why I think it's probably PS2 or PS3.
Right.
And yeah.
So let's jump over to the Game Awards. I kind of forgot why exactly we're talking about the Game Awards, but we're just going to talk about the main subject here, God of War versus Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Before we jump into that,
just for search algorithm You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
just
Just
mention the
hop
trending
into it.
topics of the day. Yeah, yeah.
Before we jump into that, I want to mention that it is a friend's birthday today. Her name is Rosie. Happy birthday, Rosie from Dear Video Games.
Happy
Um,
birthday.
she recently has asked me to kind of explain or talk about how much I'm liking God of War Ragnarok. Well, I have somebody who play tested it and didn't tell me about it until recently. So we have somebody that's enjoying the game right now, which is me, and
Oh
then
yeah.
we have somebody that loves the game, absolutely loves it, and play tested it. What
I still paid $80 for it on PS5.
which is just hey that should
That
say
should tell you
something about
enough.
how
That
good
should
it
tell
is.
you enough. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm cheap as hell. That should tell you a lot.
uh God of War Ragnarok, why is it winning game of the year?
I just think it does because the last one was so like I think way better than anyone was really expecting. Like I think people had high hopes for it, you know, but it's probably the best example of rebooting an old game franchise and making it like the best it could possibly be, because you couldn't just make God of War 1 nowadays. Not that it would be like offensive or whatever, but it would just feel archaic and not that fun by today's standards, Playing the old ones is fun, but like if they made a new one that just played like that, it would kind of be like how people reacted to the Crash Bandicoot 4 where they're just like, I don't know if I want to play games like this right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they brought it back and they didn't just copy Dark Souls, They didn't just, you know what I mean? They didn't fall into a lot of these pitfalls that a lot of like newer games fall into. They did their own thing. It wasn't a live service or like an NFT or
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? And so like, the acting was
Superb.
phenomenal. The music, the character design, the combat, everything was just spot on. And then the sequel, they just take it up like that notch,
Mm-hmm.
like everything is done just like a little bit better, and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like how is that even possible? How did you pull this off? Like, in it, it's one of those games that does actually remind me of a Zelda game. Like it reminds me kind of a lot of Twilight Princess in different ways. The way that like some of the combat is, and like some of the different mechanics later in the game that I'm not going to spoil,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, uh, but I don't think that was necessarily on purpose. You know what I mean? I think it's just super well made, like that,
Mm-hmm.
like how Twilight Princess was extremely well made. And they were able to really pull off something that like they could have just made a game that was on par with God of War 2018, and that would still be nominated for Game of the Year, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
But they went that like extra mile, and they're like, no, we're gonna make you cry like a tiny little baby, and we're also gonna have really funny moments and intense combat in
Yeah,
between.
intent right. I think this game, I hit a point in this game. I'm about 20 hours in. I finally hit a point in this game where I'm like, the performances of not just this game, but this is another example of how good PlayStation has been at
Yes.
just getting these actors together and getting the best out of them. To this is
Hmm.
probably the best acting in media at this
I've
at
been
this
I've
point.
been saying that. Yeah, it is definitely the best acting I've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah.
Like in some of the best acting just around like that you'll see right now. Like
And
the
this
act.
conversation sounds very like passive aggressive because I'm not trying to spoil anything.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just like I saw that because Sony wants to make live action TV series of all their mainline games.
Yeah.
Like I think the Last of Us just
Last of Us
premiered on
got it.
HBO.
Yeah.
And that actually looks pretty good
Mm-hmm.
with Pedro Pascal. That's
Mm-hmm.
good casting in my opinion. But anyways, and so it's pretty inevitable. I think they've even already admitted it that they will do God of War at some point. And the actor who plays Kratos in the game is campaigning to play him in the live action
Oh,
version.
nice,
And
nice.
I'm like, yeah, yeah. He's perfect. He's
Mm-hmm.
actually like hella like he's like a big
He's
dude
like,
in real
yeah, he
life.
is kind of, yeah, he is kind of,
And
yeah,
when you see
buff.
like the behind the scenes footage, they film it. They like actually film the
Yeah.
cutscenes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, so I mean, and voice acting takes a really underrated amount of talent, but
Mm-hmm.
he is more than voice acting because he's actually like he's like stage acting it. They're
Mm-hmm.
filming it like it's a
100%.
movie already, and like I've said it a million times on this podcast, and I'll say it over and over again. Sony should just get the people that make their games to make their movie.
Mm-hmm. You've said that multiple times. Yeah, you've said that. Yes, you've said that multiple times.
Like Spider-Man Miles Morales is way better than any of the Spider-Man movies that Sony has made. Like
I
it's on
actually
par.
believe that. I haven't played the game yet.
It's on par with the MCU Spider-Man,
Hmm.
and it's way better than the stuff Sony like. It. I mean, it's obviously way better than freaking Morbin Time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
Uh,
yeah,
I really, it's. I think the first 10 hours. I'm gonna be just completely honest. First 10 hours, I was just like, okay, this is just a little bit more of the same. God of
yeah.
War, father son relationship now in the second game is definitely different. You can feel it's
Mhm.
very different. More Atreus is leading more. You can see
I've
that.
noticed that and it gets there's definitely parts where he sort of takes command where he
Hmm.
like like in the older like in the last game it would feel like he's talking back whereas in this game it's like he's like asserting himself, you
Hmm.
know, and
Yeah.
it's just like really like so well written.
Yeah.
It's like I was telling my wife, I was like, I can't believe this is a God of War game. Like it just trips me out to think
I
of the
know.
original trilogy and in these two games and
Hmm.
just it's so insane that like some of the highest art available right now in the world
Hmm.
is fucking God of War.
Yes, yes, that is very true. Because the part I was at, I was like, this feels like it's not a God of War game. This is
Yeah.
completely different, intimate experience. What
Mhm.
I'm experiencing right now, and some of the performances of the supporting cast is
Yes.
unbelievable in this game.
Mhm. Sindri and his brother
Yeah.
are amazing.
Well, I just got to the part with what's the woman I forgot her name. It's like
Freya?
Angerbor. It's
Freya?
the female
Oh, oh,
with the dreadlocks
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Okay, I can't
with the
remember her name
dreadlocks.
either.
It's
Yeah,
a yeah, it's a black female.
yeah, yeah.
That
Oh, okay,
hang
yeah, yeah, yeah. That
yeah
you meet in the like. If I'm trying to avoid
yeah
spoiler,
yeah
it's
yeah
like you
that
meet in
place. Yes.
the certain Heim.
Yeah, the Certainheim of that. She was fantastic.
She is
Her
so good.
She is so well done.
Yeah. Hmm.
So well done. One of my favorite supporting characters right now.
I
I love Freya too. I think
yeah. I
Freya brings
genuinely
that
loved that
fire.
part. I
Yeah.
loved that part so much. Even when
Yeah.
I was like playtesting it, I remember in my notes saying like this is a particular highlight of
Hmm.
this game. Like I really love the Atreus parts. Like I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say there are parts where you just play as Atreus, and I love those parts. I was like, they're so good.
Voltaire, I was just thinking that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
his
so
parts are
good.
so fun. I'm like, I felt
The
bad for
arrows,
liking
yeah.
him. I felt
Hmm.
bad for liking him because I'm like, I'm enjoying this playing than Kratos. Like, I've
Hmm.
enjoyed this more than playing as Kratos. Like, why do I enjoy this more? He's
I was like
he's
halfway
so
through the game.
agile. He's so
And they're like, "Do you
fluid.
have any notes about how you are so far in the game, or like halfway through the week?" And I was like, "Look, I hate to say it, I wouldn't be mad if Kratos died at the end."
I wouldn't. We're not saying he does. We're just
I don't
saying
say
I
he does.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It
Um.
wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
It seems like his combos are coming off quicker. His combos are coming off smoother, better.
Mhm.
And I don't know what it is about a bow and arrow in this day and age in
Yeah,
gaming. I just love using them.
it feels satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels satisfying.
And then
Even in like
every time he
mundane,
hits
it's
it, it's just
satisfying.
like ski offa, ski
Yeah,
offa, ski off.
yeah.
It's just I love it. I love it.
And speaking the Giants language is really great. I love
Hmm.
how it's mostly just English, but you talk like really slowly.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. It's so well done. And then you know, whether he's like, well, like it's like Sindri or like Head or whoever, they're like, "What the hell's going on right now? What's happening?"
Definitely Game of the Year nomination. Definitely needs to probably win Game of the Year. Let's move over to its competitor. This game just today, I think I don't know if it came out today, but they just got a PvP thing, a PvP Coliseum, which I cannot wait for all these
Oh,
people.
Coliseum. Because I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I said it just sort of. Can't you just do people games and fucking kill them like in other Dark Souls
Uh,
games?
I I
I would
think you could do
assume
that.
so, but a
Yeah.
Coliseum is a whole different thing.
Yeah, yeah. All these people that have spent 250 hours in this game, I can't wait to see your builds and see how good you are at the game because these fights are really good. Anyway, Elden Ring. I know you have your pick, and I'm probably gonna break the internet with my pick because whatever. Why should Elden Ring win Game of the Year if it show does?
If has has a FromSoft game won a big game of the year
Yes.
award before?
Yes.
Did that was like
Sekiro.
Bloodborne? Sekiro, that's right. Sekiro
Hmm.
last year, right? Yeah.
2 years ago. It's
Years. Yeah.
2019, 3 years ago maybe.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, I was like, cause I was gonna say because if he hasn't won it already, me and Zaki deserves one just on the face
Just to
of it.
take it,
To be
right?
honest. Yeah. And it's those are just games where I really like some of them, and other ones are like a little too frustrating for me.
Hmm.
I admit that that's just because I'm not very good at them. That's no fault to the game, but I just I with I tend to wait until there's games become hella discounted or like on game or like on PS Plus or whatever because um I don't know how far if I'm gonna play them for 1 hour or actually complete them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like a beautiful game. Like my buddy Skeptic from Double Dragon played it on Twitch, and I remember watching him play it a few times, and it's just like yeah, this is like really really gorgeous
Hmm.
game right here. Like this is like it gets a lot of comparisons to Breath of the Wild just because of how it's structured. How you're in this big open world and you have the like you climb up stuff and the groups of enemies and
Hmm.
everything. And I think it definitely took a lot of inspiration from Breath of the Wild. And it's like it is sort of like how people always say like, oh, what if you know PS5 had a Zelda game? You know what I mean? And it is sort of like yeah, it would be like hella difficult
Hmm.
probably. Like
It'd be
that's the
kind
whole.
of sort of like that, yeah. Yeah. I really do think this
You've played
game.
it, right? You've
Yeah.
completed it?
I
Yeah.
haven't go. Oh, I have not completed it. I've not completed
You
Elden
have
Ring, dude.
100% in that game, right? Yeah,
No. If
that's what I
I
thought. Yeah.
if I'm
You did the
100% in
speed
that
run,
game,
no hit speed run of every Souls game in a row.
I
That's what I
I
remember.
wish. I wish I wouldn't have my hair. I know
Yeah,
if I did that, man. This game is absolutely amazing. The comparisons to Breath of the Wild, I think, are spot on. I don't care if anybody says it. I think you're spot on because this game doesn't have necessary. It does have a story, but it doesn't throw the
mhm,
story in your face. It's not this
yeah.
typical waypoint to waypoint kind of thing. It's this open world. You can do whatever you want to
Really?
do, figure out what you need to figure out, and this game is just the perfect Souls game in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. The combat is awesome. The way you can kind of structure your builds is perfect, and I can see why people are putting in 250 100 hours into that because it's just like
I mean,
it's that good of a game.
well, and if you
Um,
do want to like get good, as the kids say,
right, get good at
uh,
it.
you really do have to put that much time into it. Like it
Hmm.
takes a lot of patience. Like I've been noticing that just with the Demon Souls remake. It's just like, oh, okay, it, you really have to learn the patterns of the enemies. You really have to like not only memorize, but like almost memorize like the stats of the different weapons and
Hmm.
like the paths to take. And
Hmm.
yeah, like you have to go through each area hella slowly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, in God of War and Elden Ring are completely two different games. Well, duh, but like completely two different games in the way that they are set up. Elden
Hmm.
Ring is, I feel like, in a way, set up a little bit like Skyrim, where it's meant to be played multiple times or for a long period of time.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah,
And, you have this massive open world with so many
because you want
different
to try the
builds.
different builds. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if any of these games win it, both of them deserve it. It's just like 2017 with Red Dead and God of War. Honestly, we
Hmm.
know your pick, Walter Slappendelic. We know your pick. It's God of War, which is rightfully so. It should be God of War.
No,
I'm
no.
actually, I don't know. I'm
Mm.
picking whoever wins deserves it. That's who I'm
Yeah.
because I've tried. At first,
That's
I
a
was
brave,
Elden
that's a
Ring.
brave choice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was Elden Ring. I was like,
Hmm.
Elden Ring needs to win it because I played a little bit of God of War. I'm like, I mean, a little bit of the same, whatever.
Hmm.
But now I've played a lot more God of War, and I'm like, this is really good. This is
Right
a
now,
little too good.
yeah.
uh, so and it's not because I don't want to pick God of War, of course. If I really thought hands down it would be that game, I would pick it.
Yeah.
But I just think both games are distinctly different. That if one gets it over the other, it probably deserves it. But at the same time, they both deserve it. I guess. I guess if that makes
Yeah,
any
I mean,
sense.
I think that yeah, I wouldn't be mad at Elden Ring winning it. You know what I mean? Like
I won't be
it's
throwing this
definitely
mug at the TV if God of War wins it. I'm gonna be like, absolutely, it wins it because
yeah,
it should. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I can't believe the Santa Monica Studios was rewarded for doing a good job.
I
You know
can't
what I
believe
mean?
that.
Like, boo.
Uh, now, if Horizon for some reason wins it, I'm gonna go ballistic because I'm gonna be too happy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go ballistic.
It's so good and it's so overlooked, just like the first
Yeah,
one was. I
yeah.
hope they like keep Sony. If you're watching, and I'm sure you probably are,
Oh yeah, totally.
please keep making Horizon games
Hmm.
because they're very good. And I think they sell decently well, but they always get overlooked. People
Hmm.
always are just like, "Oh no, well it came out as the same day as this like, huge game."
Yep, yep, yep.
It's like maybe maybe look up what games are coming out the week you're thinking about launching the game. Maybe you can do a quick Google, but that'd
Yeah,
be my
and
one advice.
you quit shooting yourself in the foot with it. Like
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
Love Horizon, man. Love her.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna play through it one day again.
Both of those games are great. Yeah.
Both of them. God of War versus Elden Ring. That's gonna be at the Game Awards on December 8th. Thursday, I'm gonna be watching it. I'll be doing a lot of articles for Game Luster and Sports Gamers Online. So make sure you
Nice.
guys tune into that. I'm over here giving freaking promo to freaking the
The Game
video game
Awards.
awards. Like,
Have you heard of this thing? It's
yeah,
called the Game Awards.
yeah, they should pay me for doing just
Yeah,
that.
honestly, yeah, man. Jeff
Um,
Keighley should send you money,
yeah,
his personal
$10
money, his from a check from his personal paycheck,
exactly,
checkbook.
exactly from the Game Awards. Boom,
Yeah,
give me
yeah.
that. So, Ben, this is gonna be more of what I like to talk about on Dear Video Games. So, Pokemon Violet, Scarlet came out, and the Callisto Protocol recently came out. Both games have not received the best reviews.
I've heard a little bits and pieces of the Callisto Protocol. I don't
Mhm.
really know anything about it. I remember you mentioned it in the last episode, and then like you said, I've seen some brutal YouTube reviews of it. Well,
Yeah.
I don't really know much about it. Like, yeah.
Um, so let's start off with Pokemon because you've played it. Well,
Pokemon scary and Pokemon violent.
you when I hear somebody tell me about this Pokemon game, I'm like, ooh, this is good. Like, it's not leading you down the path of just get the badges. It's like, no,
It's
you can
truly
figure
open
it out.
world.
Yeah,
It's,
you can
it's
figure
like
it
it's
out.
actually more open world than Arceus even was, because whereas Arceus was a lot of interconnected, smaller
Hmm.
worlds, I guess,
Hmm.
more of like the way that say like Monster Hunter World was like set up.
Yeah.
But what this one is just open world,
Hmm.
It's just you have the entire map.
The issue with this game is the performance. Let's just come out and say
Yeah,
it. That's
it
the
was
issue.
not. It could have used an extra 6 months, but for some reason, the Pokemon Company has to come out with their games on November 11th. And it's just,
It just has to
it
happen.
seems like that's really their rule. Like anytime
Hmm.
it's a like a two-color, like mainline release,
Hmm.
it has to come out mid-November, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it could have come out in February and been, I think, a lot.
Yeah. Been basically what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Arceus doesn't, I think, benefited from that, from
Hmm.
not having to come out in November. It did come out in like a January or February or
Hmm.
something like that, and they
Yeah.
gave
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
a little extra time. And there's some frame rate drops, some stuff that's in the distance, and some
Hmm.
pop in here and there. But overall, I thought Arceus was a really good looking game that I didn't really have any issues with. With
100%.
Violet, I feel like the reviews that I've seen of it. So me personally, I haven't run into any like game breaking bugs.
Hmm.
They're like people are saying they've been falling to the floor and like game crashes and like Pokemon getting like warping into people and
Hmm.
stuff. And I haven't seen anything that wild. For me, it's just there's some occasional slowdown and some skipping here and there. And
So what you're
but
saying, what you're talking about right now, we're actually going to jump right over to that here in a second.
mm,
The Callisto Protocol is kind of going through the same thing. I guess on PC, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of lag. And then overall, I guess on the consoles, the game just isn't as good as people thought it was going to be. That we were looking at like another Game of the Year contender this early for next year.
interesting.
Seems like that's just not the case. We have kind of like a Dead Space
Because that's what it
ish
was
game.
the spiritual successor to Dead Space, right?
Right, exactly. There you
What it
go.
was kind of
Spiritual
marketing
success.
itself
Yeah,
as.
exactly. And so what you were just talking about right there, how much do we take into account review scores in reviews?
I think a company with as much resources and money as the Pokemon Company. I mean, I know they're not as big as Nintendo, but they still make like $1 billion or something every year. They're
Mhm.
not they're not starving for cash or time. You know what I mean? Like they could have easily given this a few extra months to not have any bugs at all. And so I'm not saying they don't deserve the criticism. I think you should hold these big companies to account.
Yeah.
Like don't release a game until it's finished. But I also think sort of particularly when it's a Nintendo or a Pokemon game, like people get so mad over it being like buggy. People just makes like a huge
A huge deal.
every review that I've seen of it will make fun of it for all the bugs in the jank and stuff, especially the people who've actually like fallen through the ground and everything in the game.
Hmm.
But then they all say, "But I actually really enjoy playing this game. It's actually like super fun." Like there was some guy on Twitter who was like, my character's face disappears and my Pokemon will pop up and be invisible or whatever, and I get all mad. But then every time I catch a cute little guy, I have a big smile on my face. I think James Sterling said, "I've never played such a bad game for so long, so willingly."
Oh wow. I think
And
I
it's
think when
like,
it comes to reviews, probably like people have to remember it's somebody's opinion. It's
mhm.
very opinionated, and you might play the game, and it might be completely, something different. Like you said, you're not even witnessing all those lags.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not. I mean, I totally believe that they're happening. I've seen the screenshots and stuff. It's just, I guess I've been a little lucky. Or,
Hmm.
I'm just built different, I guess. but, but I just
Your
haven't seen
Switch
it
is
that bad.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the OLED. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Maybe I was joking, but maybe it does have something to do with
Uh,
it.
it could have. I think this is a good example of what I was saying with Saints Row. Earlier this year, I thought Saints Row was actually m- mediocre. I mean, everybody said, and I quote, people were. I'm not gonna
It's
quote
like a
nobody.
reboot, right? Or
Yeah,
it's like not necessarily a remake of the first one, but
yeah,
like
it's
a
like a
whole reboot.
reboot of the
Yeah.
series, and people were just like, this is the worst game I've ever played in my entire life. Da, da, da.
I was
And it's
hearing that. Yeah.
I was like, this game is not
It's not that
that
bad.
bad. It's not that bad. I'm not saying it's great. Like I'll say this: if it's $70 on the shelf for PlayStation 5, I would wait until it's about 20.
Exactly.
There
Yeah,
you go.
that is something to take into consideration. Where it's like you don't want to go too hard on these games because
Hmm.
it's like at the end of the day, if you're having fun playing it, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
But is it is it really? Are you really going to pay $70, $80 for?
Hmm. Hmm. Like it's not a must-play kind of thing.
It's like wait a few months for it to come on Game Pass
Yeah.
or to get like a discount or like I got Cold of the Lamb, which is a great game. I'm just gonna keep bringing it up every 5 minutes
Yeah,
contractually,
it's great.
but because it's half off right now on the
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch,
Yeah.
and so I was like, oh yeah, I'll get that.
I'll say this: review scores make me think. It depends if I'm not reviewing the game myself or if I already made up in my mind that I'm going to buy it. Review scores. Wow. Oh my goodness, Curtis, you're on a podcast. Review
You're doing
scores.
great.
Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Review scores make me put it maybe somewhere in my back catalog. Like, okay, that got a 7. Maybe I don't have to
Mhm.
run out and play that immediately.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
okay,
think
that
you
one's
can
a 6.
inform your decision, but they shouldn't
Be the
make
end
the
all be
decision
all.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
I think unless it's you reviewing the game, you shouldn't listen at all. Honestly.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, totally. uh, I did an article on Game Luster. I think it was my article coming back to Game Luster. I'm back on Game Luster, yay. Um,
So enthusiastic.
yeah, Todd Howard's quotes on. He was on. I forgot whose podcast. I actually have it up. I'm gonna name drop the podcast here in a second. He was on some guy named Lex Friedman. I've never heard of the guy. I'm gonna be honest with you, never heard of him. But he was
Just
talking.
pretend it was Polygon.
Yeah. Polygon. uh, he was talking about the pressures of like working for Xbox, and it kind of dinged in my head. Like, yeah, that's probably true. Like you
Yeah.
should kind of feel pressure to deliver for Xbox. You should feel like, especially for Starfield. Starfield was probably being worked on for all the consoles when it first started getting worked on, and then
I mean, it's
now,
basically the reason Microsoft bought Xbox.
right?
Bethesda, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like, well, Xbox is like, well, that's an exclusive. So now, and like I think one of the biggest quotes that he came out with was like, now we have to be a console seller. That's a big,
Yeah.
that's a big thing. That's a big position. Like, okay, well, you need to be the reason why people by
It can't
Xbox
just be
now.
like a decent game anymore. It has
Hmm.
to dethrone the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, it has to be like if someone's standing there and they're like, oh well, this console has Starfield, but
Hmm.
this console has God of War.
Exactly.
You have to make them say, I'm not gonna play God of War. I'm gonna
Mhm.
play Starfield. That is
And
tough.
that's a task,
That's
you
a
know.
task.
Like I mean, not to do like advertisement for a giant corporation or whatever, but like the PS5 is like probably the most like technologically advanced thing in
Right.
my house. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I have an Xbox, and it's like you're just gonna like it's gonna be difficult to be like, oh yeah. I know you're sort of infamous for making games that are like janky but still fun to play,
Yeah.
but now you have to be better than Sony's best
Hmm.
game.
Now you have to be the best. The
Yeah,
best.
you have to be God of War and Breath of the Wild. Because we haven't even
Exactly.
brought up Nintendo.
Exactly. He also talked about the delay that happened with Starfield. I kind of read all this and it was a bunch of word soup because it's
I
like
saw the headlines, but didn't end up reading the article.
yeah, it's a bunch of yeah. We tried to release it on the 11th anniversary of Skyrim, but that was a little overzealous. I think I was just in
Mhm.
the moment kind of thing. Um, but of course, it's
It's just really
marketing.
high at E3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
marketing, publishing. That's all the stuff he
Hmm.
started going in about. So just that's just a little bit of news.
I mean, on principle, I try not to be like for big corporations acquiring other ones,
Hmm.
But I do think in terms of like the art of making a video game, it might actually be good for Todd Howard to have somebody that he has to like answer to be
Hmm.
like to kind of rein him in a bit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And be like, maybe we shouldn't make it a massively multiplayer online uh, Fallout game.
Yeah,
Maybe we should just make a Fallout game. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
that's just it. I think it's good
I agree 100%. Yeah.
times and just be like, hey, you
Hmm.
know?
No, no, I agree with you
Just-
100%. It's funny how Voltaire, you're just the bridge to all of my to all of my segments here and all of my news because you hit it nail on the head. Like, yeah, probably just like what we're going to
Sympathetic we're
talk about
doing it right
next.
now.
Yeah, just like what we're talking about, what we're about to talk about next. Yeah, I think it's good
It's
to.
this E40 Prosecco I'm sipping on.
Hey, toast. It's the
Ooh.
holidays, baby. We'll talk about that in a
Yeah.
second. So the FTC. Okay, so last thing on Todd Howard's thing, completely agree with you. Bethesda needed somebody probably to be like, hey, like we want to make
Hmm.
great video games, and you need to make sure Xbox is selling, and Starfield needs to be that.
Yeah, I'm genuinely a fan of Bethesda. I
Me too.
like all of their. I like Doom. I like Fallout. I like Skyrim. I like all other stuff. But it is. I think I am happy that they'll have not only like a budget, but then also like the sort of culture of like it's perfectly okay to delay stuff. Like
Hmm.
you can just delay it.
Hmm.
Like how Nintendo says a delayed game will be good eventually.
Yeah.
An unfinished game, you know, sucks balls or whatever. Whatever.
Whatever they said.
Whatever.
Whatever they said. I think Phil Spencer will know. Like, I think Phil Spencer looking at this and saying, "Yeah, Starfield's ready to go," or Starfield needs to be delayed. I can trust him a lot.
Yeah.
So the FTC is split between the Xbox and Activision merger.
I
I'm
heard
pretty
about
sure
this.
you saw all about that.
Yeah. I was
This,
surprised too because the FTC, I feel like, tends to sort of just roll over most of the time.
mhm.
They just let Discovery Channel buy Warner Brothers and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And
I got you.
like under Monsanto and Conagra and shit like that. It's
Mhm.
just like like these like huge sinister like Skynet companies get to
Yeah,
merge,
one
and
of
then
the.
for some reason Xbox and Activision they're like I don't know.
It's like, oh, wait, well. Apparently, they're trying to. So
People at the FTC are Sony fans, I think.
I think so too. They're trying to. I guess they're really trying to crack down on more on looking into stuff like this. Apparently, yeah, the FTC is looking at something like this, and they're saying we could let this go through, but there's. I don't. I read the original article and I don't know much about the politics and how all that works. So I just read a bunch of word soup. I guess that's the second time I said that this podcast. But
Big proportion of articles online.
yeah,
So it makes sense.
it seems like Xbox is kind of ready for anything that the FTC wants to throw at them though, because they're like, look, we're not against working for PlayStation. We'll give
Yeah,
them 10
I imagine
years.
they have some crazy ass lawyers right now. Like,
Surely,
yeah,
because they're like, as I'm reading right here, with a 10-year licensing deal with Sony for Call of Duty on PlayStation
hmm
platforms, they have everything covered. They're like, we don't want to snag it away.
but at the same time, that's also sort of moving the goalposts for them because before they said, of course we're gonna have Call of Duty on Sony consoles. Why wouldn't we? And
Hmm.
then now they're saying for 10 years if
For
they
10
sign this
years
contract.
or
Yeah,
10 years.
and then if the FTC approves, they're actually just gonna be like, nah. To be honest.
Well, okay, so I would say that maybe because they are rival companies, there has to be paperwork between them.
Yeah.
Some kind of paperwork. So maybe
Well,
10
you know,
years.
Sony has games on Xbox. Like, I think they've already crossed over. There's like Minecraft on PlayStation, and there's MLB
Yeah.
The Show on Xbox. You
Yeah,
know,
right,
and so like
right.
Death Stranding was on Game Pass on PC
Yeah, on
because it's
PC.
on Steam. Yeah.
So
So
definitely all that is I think maybe because it's the size of the game, or maybe
yeah,
because it's made
Call
by
of Duty
another.
is huge.
Yeah.
You're getting Call of Duty. You're getting Overwatch. You're getting Diablo and
Hmm.
like all that other stuff that they make. They like Candy Crush and shit like that. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
like, I feel like yeah, I feel like it's just the amount of revenue that Sony will miss out on if they lose all of those. You
Hmm.
know, that's billions of dollars that they probably bring in.
Uh, and I think somewhere in this article too. This is from GameIndustry.biz. I think somewhere in this article they say like Xbox is ready for just about anything that they throw at them because they really wanted to get through. But to your point, Voltaire, like you're saying, just like Todd Howard, Bobby Kotick, his issues and everything like that with Blizzard, they kind of need this merger to go through to kind of start over and
Yeah.
get a different workflow.
They need to be able to just get rid of Bobby Kotick
Hmm.
and just sort of get rid of a lot of these terrible people at the top end, which Phil Spencer has more or less said he's going to do once the takeover happens.
Hmm.
And uh, yeah, I think that's what Ubisoft needs because it kind of feels icky to buy an Ubisoft game right now. Like, and I know I say that a lot to be like funny and everything,
You
but
mean
it's
you mean Activision or Blizzard? Yeah.
Activision. Yeah, my bad. I was they're so
Yeah,
the
I get
stories
it.
about them are so similar. I get them confused. But yeah yeah, it's fun to feel icky to get an Activision game nowadays.
Hmm.
You know, like the newer Call of Duties look fun. Like I'm sort of I'm like I don't have anything. I enjoyed the Call of Duty games and stuff, and I liked their Crash remakes and all that kind
Hmm.
of stuff. But it's just like I don't know if I know it's like a drop in the pond or whatever this phrase is, but it's just like it feels like um I'm giving money to freaking Bobby Kotick. You know what I mean? And it's like, ugh, you
It's
know,
tough.
maybe if I could buy an Activision game without putting money in that guy's pocket, I would feel better about it. You know what I mean?
Because there's a lot of big games that are tied to this company. You have Overwatch,
Mhm.
Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, and Starcraft. Uh,
StarCraft, yeah. I mean,
that's
it's just
crazy.
nuts in World of Warcraft, and it's just, yeah, it's bonkers. Like
Hmm.
it's wild to actually sit back and consider like the breadth of what they make.
Hmm.
Like, and it's just, yeah, and they're huge. They're like low key one of the biggest companies in the world right now because they just own so much.
So much.
And then
100%. One.
issue there. It's like, do
Mm-hmm.
you want Microsoft to be that huge of a corporation
Mm-hmm.
just on the face of it? And then, but then, so it's like this inside of you there are two wolves. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like I don't know if I want Microsoft to be such a gigantic multi-trillion-dollar corporation, but I also don't want Activision Blizzard to just keep on getting away with all of their, you know, horrible crimes.
Exact. And Walter, once again, you hit it right on the head. That was my question to you. Should this merger happen? Should it happen? Did you answer it?
Kind of, I guess.
Yeah, you
No,
kind of
not
did
really.
kind of hit it. Yeah,
Not
you kind of did
really. Yeah.
answer it because
Like
but you seem more
because
to
I
you.
think in
What
the
should it
long
be?
run, I think the games would do better for it because Microsoft tends to hold like a higher standard. Like I know there have been issues here and there with like some of their games and stuff, but at
Yeah.
least recently, like you know, when they want a game to come out, they want it to like represent their console, you know, And so I think there's like that would in turn, since it's not just this big company going hog wild because they don't have any hardware to sell or anything. Now they're going to be a little more reined in, and I think the games would do better for that. They might break away from their formula and stuff a
Mm-hmm.
bit. Whereas um, but then the opposite of it, the non-video game part of me, the non-gamer side of me is going like, there's antitrust laws for a reason, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Like,
I think me and you are on the same page with that. I think it would be good for Microsoft to get Activision Blizzard, because I think it would change the complete work culture there. I think a lot of people,
Mhm.
hopefully, a lot of people are removed that are should rightfully be removed, and that
Yeah.
company needs it because over the
Mhm.
last couple of years they haven't been doing well. They've had some hits, and a lot of misses, and
Yeah, like you said, even the quality of the games is
mm,
suffering. It's not even just the shitty way
the
they
work,
treat their employees,
yeah,
but
the
it's
work
just
culture, yeah,
it's the game.
yep, 100%.
Yeah, that's definitely a complex one because it's like, yeah, that was
If they get it, they control. Microsoft just controls so much,
so much. They're
so much.
huge. They're such a huge corporation. They extend so far beyond
Mhm.
video games. I think it can be kind of easy to forget that sometimes, but it's like, just Windows alone and the stuff that encompasses.
Yeah.
They're a humongous
Mhm.
corporation.
At
They're
some
like
point, I have to think,
Skynet.
like, what do the gamers benefit from this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if Elder Scrolls comes out, Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, and it's only for Xbox, I'm gonna look at it and say this
So I bet it
probably
is.
isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
This probably
Yeah.
isn't good because I
And I
want that
bet it's
game to
gonna
be a third
happen,
party.
because Microsoft doesn't really have first party games.
Mm,
They have Halo and Gears, and that's pretty much it.
yeah.
And so they need to have these first party games, and how Sony has God of War for
Mm,
that like fantasy action role play game, and Nintendo obviously has The Legend of Zelda.
mm,
Now Microsoft can say, well, we have Elder Scrolls. You know what I
mm.
mean?
And there is a lot of games that are in the works for Microsoft. There's a Fable game.
That's right. Yeah.
There's goodness. There's a few that is coming out. Um,
I've been replaying Fable 2 on the Game
I
Pass.
played a little bit of Fable
It's
2
a
too.
great game. I love that game.
It's so good, so good.
It definitely shows its age by today's standards, but
Hmm.
it just makes it charming in my opinion.
Yeah,
How old school everything is. It's
it's like
just funny to me.
super British too. The voice acting is
It's so British.
super
Yeah.
British, super British. It's hilarious. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. The Xbox Activision merger. It might happen, but I just think it's funny that FTC's like, okay, this is a big one. You
This
hold
is
on.
one thing, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
this is a
I
big
think
one.
I think that kind of should give people pause on just consider how huge some of these video game companies are getting.
Yeah,
They're not,
exactly, exactly.
you know, there's always like Disney and Google are just waiting to buy one of them too.
Mm. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Buy Nintendo back in like the 90s or something, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe even Nintendo tried to buy Disney. It was something like that. They were like in talks for merging, and then it fell through somehow.
Mm.
But imagine,
FTC wouldn't have stopped that. Not at
yeah,
that time. Not
not
at
in the
that time.
90s. Yeah, neither of those companies were doing fantastic at the time. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
so
they wouldn't have
yeah,
stopped that. I think the FTC might. Would they say they were a possibility of suing Microsoft for even trying this
yeah.
to stop them?
I think in order to make them stop, the FTC would have to essentially sue them. I think
Hmm.
is how it would work. I don't know if they would call it that, but it's just, I mean, basically it's I think
Yeah,
like kind of how California is suing them
yeah. The state of
for their
California
mini,
is
for their mini
suing
crimes.
Activision.
Yeah.
Insane. Like at some point, like, what do you think? Oh my God, I'm screwing up so bad at this video
Yeah.
game company that the state of California wants to sue me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so wild. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. The state which has a Hollywood, Oakland, and all of its issues in between is
My
suing
hometown,
me.
Victorville.
Is suing me. The people who made fucking,
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft. Where did we go wrong?
Where did we
Where did
go
we
wrong?
misstep between making World of Warcraft and Gavin Newsom coming after me?
Exactly. You know what we did? We were racist, sexist, all
Yeah.
that stuff, everything.
All the sexual harassment.
Yeah, it's bad at Activision Blizzard, y'all. It's real bad. Um, so that's I knew that we were gonna go over the hour mark, but Next episode, which is going to be in 2 weeks time, I think it's going to be a Christmas episode. I'll put a little hat on Mike here, our goat, like for Mike. I'll probably have a Christmas sweater on, whatever, have some eggnog, whatever.
I mean,
And
sexy Santa Claus, you know.
Voltaire will have his Christmas blunt.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think it'll be good. I think Dear Video Games is coming up on their year mark. I think.
Is it really?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not
I
sure.
remember, I want to say, yeah.
Yeah, I think
We
so
took a few
too.
months off
Yeah.
this year, but I think still counts. We did a couple episodes throughout, you know.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
we're just
yeah.
really gone.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. I know.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, and I was like, dang, 10 months
Nice.
ago? Jesus.
Yeah, that's wild.
Make sure you guys subscribe to the Soul Dojo Gaming channel. Make sure you guys follow us on Spotify, Dear Video Games, and Voltaire. What's going on? You just dropped a beat tape, I believe, right?
I'm fixing to, yeah.
Okay, you're about to.
I put it up onto DistroKid, and it's coming out on the 20th of December. It's called Presents.
We will.
It's my Christmas album.
We should probably
yeah.
be live for that.
Oh, that's actually a good idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
I should probably promote the music I'm coming out with.
Yeah. I think the 20th. I was like, oh yeah, the 20th. We should do another Dear Video Games. Yeah, that should be the day.
That'd be cool. I should at least play maybe like a couple songs from it on it.
Yeah, sure. As long,
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to say as long as they don't strike us, but the artist is here.
Yeah. What's funny is on TikTok that actually happened to me. So TikTok was like you can upload a certain number of videos up to 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
And that aren't like TikToks, but just like videos. And so I uploaded one of my EPs, which is like 19 and a half minutes long, and then just with the cover art in the song titles, you know. And they copyright striked it. They took it down, saying Walter Sapodelic has struck this as a copyright. And I'm like, no, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
I uploaded it. What are you talking about? And then I tried emailing them, and they like wouldn't even answer me. And so I've never been able to put it back up.
I am
like,
Walter
I'm
Sapodelic.
copyright holder. Yeah. I'm like, what is this?
That is so stupid.
They're like gaslighting me. They're like, no, you did copyright strike.
You did. You called in like a Call of Duty airstrike, like get them. Yeah. No, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. You guys can follow him at _Slapadelic on Twitter, where he talks mean about Tunic.
I'm just real mean to a lot of people, mostly people that are like rich or famous.
Rich or famous people.
You know, just exciting stuff like that.
You can follow me at Callie from the Dojo on Twitter. Also, Sports Gamers Online. Curtis Russell, of course. Game Luster. I'm doing
a lot more professional on the internet.
Yeah, I always do. Game Luster, where I do my other articles, things like that. And subscribe to the Soul Dojo, and we'll check you guys later. All right. Peace.